Explanation of the book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, by Robert Kiyosaki. Introduction. The Cash Flow Quadrant is considered one of the books that changed the concept of money and wealth for many. It is a complementary part to the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but it delves deeper into the ways of making money and explains how an individual can move from dependence on a job to achieving financial freedom. The main idea in the book revolves around dividing the ways of making money into four main sections, which are employee, employee, self-employed, self-employed, business owner, business owner, investor, investor. Kiyosaki calls these sections the cash flow quadrant, and he explains that financial success is not only about the amount of income, but how this income is achieved. Section 1. Understanding the cash flow quadrant. Kiyosaki emphasizes that the way a person earns money determines his financial future. He explains that there are two types of people. 1. People who work for money, employees and freelancers. 2. People who make money work for them, business owners and investors. Details of each section of the cash flow quadrant. 1. Employee, employee. His characteristics and characteristics. He works for a company or institution for a monthly salary or hourly wage. He depends on his job for financial security. He seeks job stability and benefits such as health insurance and retirement. Well, he sees that promotion and salary increases are the only way to improve his financial situation. Thinking method. He focuses on getting a secure job instead of looking for investment opportunities or starting a private project. He fears risk and prefers stability. He believes that saving is the key to financial success, but he is ignorant of the power of investments. Problems faced by the employee. Income is limited because the salary is determined by the company. He is subject to a high tax compared to businessmen and investors. If he loses his job, he loses his entire source of income. 2. Self-employed. Characteristics. He works for himself but still relies on his personal work for income. He believes that it is better to be his own boss than to work for others. He avoids traditional jobs but still works hard to earn money. Intentional thinking. He relies on his personal skills to earn money. He believes that hard work is the only way to financial success. He likes to have complete control over his work, which makes it difficult for him to hire others. Examples of self-employed. Doctors who own private clinics. Independent lawyers and financial advisors. Self-employed designers and programmers. Problems faced by the self-employed. Income is limited by the amount of work he can do personally. If he does not work, he will not get money, unlike the employer and investor. He has difficulty expanding his business because he is personally dependent on it. 3. Business owner, business owner. His characteristics and features. He owns a business or system that generates money for him, even when he does not work himself. He relies on a team to manage the project. He focuses on building systems and managing companies rather than working himself. Thinking method. He asks questions like, how can I build a business that works without my direct intervention? He invests in creating systems and strategies to make the business sustainable. He sees that financial success depends on building assets and not on the number of hours worked. Examples of business owners. Startup founders such as Steve Jobs, Apple, and Elon Musk, Tesla. Restaurant or store chain owners. Managers of large projects who employ teams to manage them. Benefits of being a business owner. You can generate income even when you do not work yourself. You have the potential to expand and grow. Taxes paid by business owners are relatively lower than employees. Challenges faced by the business owner. It takes time and effort to build a successful project. Risk is higher than traditional jobs. Requires strong leadership and management skills. 4. Investor, investor. His characteristics and traits. Make money through investments rather than work. Relies on financial assets to generate income, such as stocks and real estate. Understands the power of compound interest and long-term investing. Thinking method. Asks, how can I make money work for me? Focuses on building sustainable wealth rather than earning a monthly salary. See that financial risks are necessary to achieve great returns. Examples of investors in stocks and bonds. real estate owners who rent out apartments or commercial buildings, entrepreneurs who invest in startups or innovative projects. Benefits of being an investor. Achieve financial freedom because money generates more money. Take advantage of tax breaks available to investors. Build lasting wealth that can last for generations. Challenges faced by the investor. He needs continuous learning in the field of investment. He may face losses if he does not invest wisely. He requires patience because big returns do not come overnight. Part 2. How to move from the left side to the right side. 1. Change the way you think. Stop thinking like an employee or a freelancer and start thinking like an entrepreneur and an investor. Ask yourself, how can I build a system that generates money without working on it directly? 2. Financial education. Read books on investing and entrepreneurship. Attend training courses on money management and investing. Learn how to reduce taxes and increase returns. 3. Build multiple sources of income. Don't depend on one job. Invest in real estate or stocks alongside your main job. Create a side project that can grow over time. 4. Accept the risk. Financial freedom requires the courage to make smart investment decisions. Don't be afraid of failure. Learn from it and keep improving. Conclusion. Why should you move to the right side? The left side is about working for money, while the right side makes money work for you. Business owners and investors achieve financial freedom, while employees and freelancers work their entire lives for a limited income. The transition is not easy, but it is possible through learning, planning, and taking practical steps toward building wealth. Stories and examples from Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant. The book is filled with stories and examples that help illustrate the differences between individuals in each quadrant of the cash quadrant and how people can move from one side to the other. Through these stories, Kiyosaki shows how to change the way you think and deal with money to achieve financial freedom. 1. Robert's own story. Transforming from an employee to a business owner and investor. Kiyosaki begins his book with a story about his personal life, how he started out as an employee at the beginning of his career, and he believed that success comes from hard work and job promotions. But at some point, he discovered that promotion does not always mean financial freedom. He was working multiple jobs and saving money, but he felt that his income was limited, and he realized that the income that comes from a job or personal business is not enough to achieve financial independence. Robert began looking for ways to expand his sources of income, so he invested in real estate and startups, and he began to notice how business owners and investors enjoy their financial freedom because they do not rely solely on their time to make money. At this point, Robert began to shift to thinking as an entrepreneur and investor. Gradually, he succeeded in creating sources of income not related to his direct work. Eventually, he owned several projects and properties. 2. Kiyosaki's life story, experiences in real estate investment. In one of the chapters of the book, Kiyosaki talks about his first experience in buying a property for investment purposes. When he decided to buy a property in a certain area, his goal was to rent it out to get a steady income from the property. Although he initially faced some concerns due to his lack of experience, he began to point out an important point. Financial education is the foundation. When he first invested in real estate, he had advice from a real estate expert and knew how to deal with the bank to get the necessary financing. He rented the property and began to get a steady monthly income. But after a while, he began to notice that while the income was continuous, there were additional costs such as maintenance and taxes. From here, he learned a big lesson about how to evaluate real estate and how to manage costs. The lesson from the story. Kiyosaki came to know that investing in real estate is not just buying a property and then waiting for the returns. Rather, it requires proper planning and continuous monitoring of costs and revenues. He had to think strategically to achieve success in this field. 3. The story of Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Part of the book goes back to the story of the rich dad and the poor dad that Kiyosaki mentioned in his previous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The rich dad always encouraged Kiyosaki to think differently from the majority, while the poor dad believed that traditional education and a job were the path to success. The rich dad believed that financial education was what children should learn. The rich dad always reminded Kiyosaki of the importance of investing money properly and encouraged him to invest in assets that would increase his income. In contrast, the poor dad always blamed him for his instability and encouraged him to have a safe job. 4. A story about Kiyosaki's friend, excessive debt. Kiyosaki also tells a story about his friend who was facing a big problem due to debt. This person worked hard and earned a good income from his job, but he was always in debt because of the way he spent. Instead of investing his money in income-generating assets, he was buying expensive things like luxury cars and big houses. Eventually, he started having trouble paying off his debts, and he no longer had any assets that could generate a steady income. Lesson from the story. Kiyosaki presents this story as a warning. While this person was striving to live a luxurious life, he was leaving aside things that could help him improve his financial situation, such as long-term investments. This person was suffering from poverty because of his excessive spending on unproductive things. 5. A story about financial independence. The story of a woman who started a small business. In one of the chapters, Kiyosaki tells the story of a woman who was working as an employee but decided to leave her job after she started learning the basics of entrepreneurship. The woman started a small business selling products online, and after a few years, the project was generating a lot of income for her. Or a lesson from the story. The woman in this story started her business from scratch, but she reached out to other people, learned about digital marketing methods, and built a relationship with her customers. What made her story so touching is that this transformation from employee to business owner was not easy, but it was possible through continuous learning and development. The message from the stories. Kiyosaki does not limit himself to presenting a theory in his book, but rather reinforces each idea with real stories and examples that highlight the importance of changing the way of thinking and moving from a fixed job to entrepreneurship and investing. Financial education is the foundation. You must learn how to manage money and how to use money to work instead of working for money. Calculated risk is the path to success. Avoiding risk means that a person will remain in the same financial situation forever. You must be ready to try something new if you want new results. Investing is the best way to financial freedom. Instead of working constantly for money, a person must make money work for him through smart investments.